When I found out Lucas was cheating, he didn't panic. He didn't even try to deny it. We talked, divorced, calm and civilized. On the way to sign the divorce papers, I still couldn't help but ask, "Why do you insist on keeping our marital home?" "Oh, that?" Lucas replied casually, his tone light as if discussing the weather. Victoria got jealous. She said she wouldn't feel better until she personally destroyed every trace of the place I shared with another woman. He shook his head, half smiling, his tone indulgent and affectionate. Childish. I stared at him for a few seconds, then at the side profile of his face, so pleased, so relaxed, so satisfied to be on his way to divorcing me. I swung my handbag, smashing it into his face until his nose burst into blood. Chapter 1. I have emotional detachment disorder. When Lucas asked for a divorce, I handled it the same way I handled everything else, with reason and composure. As the one at fault, he readily agreed to transfer most of our marital assets to me, except for one thing, our first home. That apartment we bought when we were 24, spending all our savings at the time. I still remember the day we got the keys, standing in that unfinished cement-smelling flat, dreaming out loud, planning our future, glowing with excitement. That joy is something I can't forget. Even after all these years. 8 years have passed. Lucas's salary has skyrocketed. Every new home we bought was bigger, brighter, more luxurious. By the time of our divorce, he owned 7 properties. We hadn't lived in that first place for years. By now, it was small, dim, and outdated, its location inconvenient, its decor cheap. Compared to the others, it was worthless. If anything made it special, it was that it held the memories of our happiest years. So when Lucas insisted on keeping it, I foolishly thought, even though he had fallen out of love, maybe he still felt guilty. Maybe he still held some nostalgia for our 10 years together. Turns out, it was only to amuse his little girlfriend. No guilt, no remorse. Even as a betrayer, if he still had the slightest shred of decency, of respect for me as a person, he wouldn't have said it so casually, so cheerfully. I took a deep breath, looked at him again. He looked genuinely happy, because he was on his way to divorce me. A few seconds later, I checked my seatbelt, checked the road ahead, glanced around the car, weighed the handbag in my lap. Lucas. The next second, I swung my bag again, hard enough to send blood flying. Chapter 2. What the hell? Selena, are you insane? Lucas, completely unprepared for the blow, lost his composure, his usual calm, elegant mask shattered as he cursed aloud. I watched him carefully, ready to grab the steering wheel if I had to. After all, he was on his way to his new life, wouldn't want to die before getting there. Still bleeding, he hurriedly pulled the car to the side, glaring at me furiously. He dabbed at his nose with tissues, brows furrowed, forcing himself to keep his temper. His tone was full of disappointment. Selena, I always thought you were smart and composed. Not one of those crazy women. Can't we just divorce with dignity? I laughed coldly. Dignity? You planned this divorce. You can't wait to run off with your little mistress. You're in a great mood. Of course it's easy for you to be dignified. Your dignity comes from joy. What about me? I was betrayed, abandoned, forced to accept this farce. Why should I be dignified? That's not dignity, that's humiliation. Lucas stared like I was speaking nonsense. What do you want, then? I want you both to rot in misery. I want you and your little whore to never know peace. I looked straight at him. I want to vent. Before he could react, my hand came down again, smack, a clear red mark bloomed on his cheek. Before the next slap landed, Lucas grabbed my wrist, teeth clenched. Selena, don't go too far. Too far? Was it too far when you cheated? Was it too far when you brought my homemade soup to your mistress? Was it too far when she sent me your intimate photos while I was in the hospital? My face remained expressionless. No, I won't sign those papers until I've had my fill. Lucas looked at me like I was someone he'd never met before, laughing bitterly. Fine, fine. Selena, I always knew you were selfish and cold, unwilling to lose anything. I still underestimated you. But he didn't argue further. He didn't want to make things worse, not when his poor little sweetheart was waiting. He shut his eyes briefly, swallowing his anger. All right, consider us even. I twisted my wrist free and smiled thinly. Ah, the noble martyr, suffering for love. Make sure you tell your little darling about this heroic sacrifice, so she can pity you properly. Then I slapped him again, hard. Chapter 3. By the time we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, my mood had finally settled. Then a sharp scream shattered the calm. Victoria, Lucas's mistress, was standing at the entrance, covering her mouth, staring at him in shock. She was wearing stiletto heels, a Chanel dress, an Hermes bag over her shoulder, flawless makeup, and every strand of hair and nail perfectly styled, youthful, beautiful, and flaunting it. I didn't know if she had dressed like this to mock me as the loser, or to be ready to celebrate their bright new future together right after the divorce. Either way, her plans just fell apart. Victoria threw herself into Lucas's arms, gently cupping his bloodied face, her eyes brimming with tears. Was it that evil woman who hit you? How could she be so cruel? Why didn't you fight back? Lucas's tone was a mix of reprimand and affection. Don't make a fuss. It's nothing. I won't let her make you feel wronged. Victoria pouted, burying her face into his chest. And Lucas, soft-hearted as ever, comforted her gently. The two of them clung to each other, murmuring tender nonsense. The sight made my stomach turn. Are we divorcing or not? If not, I'm leaving. We're divorcing, Lucas said quickly, releasing his little sweetheart. Didn't want those slaps to have been for nothing. But Victoria spread her arms, blocking my way. No wonder he can't stand you. You should apologize to him first. She was half a head shorter than me, her tear-streaked face tilted upward, eyes blazing with naive indignation, reckless, foolish, yet almost cute. No wonder Lucas liked her. Being with a girl like that must make a man feel young again, right down to his IQ. I slipped the divorce papers back into my bag. Then keep being his mistress. Spend your life sneaking around in the shadows. And the day I'm in a bad mood, I'll make sure to reclaim every cent Lucas spent on you. I looked her up and down, the designer bag, the luxury dress, the jewelry, and nodded, including that outfit. The girl immediately deflated. With Lucas's comforting words, she obediently stepped aside, watching us finalize the divorce procedures. Chapter 4. When the paperwork was done, Lucas escorted his little mistress to the car and drove away. I stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, taking a deep breath. The cold December air filled my lungs, and only then did the pain in my chest start to surface. I remembered what Lucas had said earlier in the car, that I was selfish and cold-blooded. It wasn't the first time he'd said that. When Lucas was pursuing me, it took him 2 years just to get a response. Back then, he sighed and told me, "Selena, you look gentle and kind, but deep down you're selfish and cold. You're so afraid of getting hurt that you won't let anyone in." Yet it was this selfish, cold-blooded woman who, once she finally fell for him, let down all her walls. After graduation, we both wanted to go to grad school, but we couldn't afford it. Then I got a good job offer, so I clenched my teeth and told Lucas to study. I would work and support him. Rent in the city was expensive. With my small salary, I could only afford a tiny room with no private bathroom. We were poor when we couldn't afford to eat out. I cooked simple meals on a small induction stove by the window. Whenever I got a bonus, we would go to the little restaurant at the end of the street for lamb spine hot pot. In winters like this one, it was the warmest meal in the world. Lucas always picked out the meatiest bones for me. Once, seeing me still searching the pot for scraps, he teared up. "Selena, I've made you suffer. Just wait for me. One day, you'll eat whatever you want, buy whatever you want, without even checking the price. Trust me, I'll make every woman in the world envy you." Promises are always beautiful. Reality, always cruel. Last month, I fainted from acute appendicitis and was rushed to the hospital by strangers. I called Lucas countless times. He never answered. Then a message arrived from an unfamiliar account, a photo. In the photo, a young, pretty girl was holding Lucas's phone, pouting at the camera. Humph. I confiscated his phone. He's not allowed to take calls from anyone. Behind her, my husband leaned casually against the doorframe, arms crossed, smiling indulgently at her antics. The next day, Lucas came to the hospital, He looked tired, his voice emotionless. Selena, it's been 10 years. People get bored. Whatever you want. I'll make it up to you. Victoria's still young. Don't take it personally. Chapter 5. When I got home, I felt a little regret for my impulsiveness. Violence isn't a good solution. Life is long. I could handle this with more dignity, and revenge could be delivered more cleverly. I was just reflecting on that when I saw Victoria's social media posts. Apparently, to comfort her after her shock and distress, Lucas had taken her out for a lavish dinner and an extravagant shopping spree. Both of her hands were filled with shopping bags she could barely carry. The little girl looked overjoyed, wearing a short dress, heels, sitting in a fancy restaurant and making a proud V sign for the camera. At this point, that bitter ex can only throw tantrums. What else can she do? Just be nice to menopausal women, I guess. Among the photos she posted was one of her pale, delicate ankle, loosely wrapped in a fine silver chain. I recognized it immediately. It was my necklace, the simple silver one Lucas gave me during our first year together. I had worn it lovingly for years. It was listed in the divorce agreement, along with the marital home, soon to be Lucas's property, if he wanted to give it to Victoria as an anklet or put it on a dog. I had no legal right to object. Such a clumsy move. Victoria had posted it intentionally, just to provoke me, mock me, and feel like she'd won a round. I closed the app. Then, with complete honesty, faced my own feelings. Yes, I was angry. Yes, violence isn't a good solution. Yes, life is long, and I could handle this with more elegance and subtlety. But right now, I just wanted to make sure they never smiled again. Chapter 6. First, I called my lawyer to revise the divorce agreement. I'd changed my mind. I wanted Lucas to leave the marriage with nothing. The lawyer hesitated for a moment. That request might be difficult to achieve. That's fine, I said. My eyes lingered on my phone screen, on Victoria's smug, radiant face. I'm not the one who can't afford to wait. After hanging up, I went to my wardrobe, picked a handbag with reinforced metal corners, got in the car, and drove straight to the mall where Lucas and Victoria were shopping. I found them easily, walking arm in arm at the entrance. Then I swung the bag. The metal corner split Lucas's brow open. Blood streamed down his face. Victoria screamed again. Lucas clutched his forehead, furious. Selena, what the hell is wrong with you now? I raised an eyebrow. Why? Are you going to hit me back? I glanced around at the growing crowd of onlookers. Lucas ground his teeth, forcing a smile. Do you think I'm that kind of man? I nodded slightly. Good. Then I slapped him, hard. The crowd erupted into whispers. What's happening? What do you mean? She's obviously beating up the mistress. No. Look, she's hitting the husband. Of course. I wasn't planning to hurt myself while punishing them. Hitting the mistress counts as intentional injury. That's a detention offense. Hitting your not-yet ex-husband only counts as domestic violence. And everyone knows how leniently that's treated. The little mistress, red-faced, shouted back. He's already divorcing you. We're paying you compensation. What more do you want? We? I repeated slowly, savoring the word. Lucas and I aren't officially divorced yet. You and he aren't married yet. So tell me, who exactly is we? By now, people had started filming. Wow, the mistress has some nerve. Record it. Let's see if the cheating husband dares hit his wife for her. Lucas, not completely brain dead, realized how humiliating this looked. He tried to drag Victoria away, but the girl resisted, and her shopping bags spilled across the floor as Lucas scrambled to pick them up. I took the chance to swing my bag again. Sometimes it hit him, sometimes it hit Victoria, who kept popping her head out of his arms. Collateral damage. In the chaos, one of Victoria's heels came off, and the necklace she'd worn as an anklet slipped loose, tripping her as she fell hard on the floor. The necklace flew off and vanished into the crowd. Chapter 7. Despite Lucas's attempts to stop her, Victoria still called the police. We were taken to the station. My lawyer arrived right away and took charge from behind the scenes. I'm sorry, officer. I lowered my head sincerely, adopting a calm, cooperative tone. I just found out my husband was cheating. I was betrayed, abandoned, and completely lost control. I acted on impulse and hit him. I know I've caused trouble for you, and I'm very sorry." The officer paused, looking at me with a hint of hesitation. "Was this the first time you've ever used violence?" "Yes, the first." He frowned slightly. My lawyer quickly stepped in. "According to the legal definition, domestic violence must be continuous and repetitive. My client's behavior doesn't meet that standard. It was an overreaction due to emotional distress." The officer set his pen down and concluded, "Sounds like a divorce dispute. Go home and work things out." Victoria suddenly jumped up, her voice sharp and shrill. "What? After she beat him up like that, she doesn't even get detained?" The officer looked at Lucas's face. "It looks bad, but after medical assessment, it's not even classified as minor injury, doesn't meet detention criteria." Victoria stood there, furious and confused, before suddenly pointing to her own bruised forehead. "Then what about me? She hit me too. I'm not family, that's intentional assault." My lawyer gave me a quick look. I immediately stood up again, still polite, still cooperative. "I'm sorry, miss. You were in the way, and I couldn't stop my swing in time. It was purely accidental." The officer nodded in agreement. "The surveillance footage doesn't show intentional harm without proof of deliberate assault. This is only a civil matter. In the end, by standard procedure." The officer ruled that I should pay Victoria 50 yuan for lost wages and 200 yuan for emotional distress, a grand total of 250 yuan. I accepted it graciously, turned to Lucas, who was still comforting Victoria, and gestured toward her. "You heard him. Transfer her the 250. After all, the assets hadn't been divided yet, whether he transferred it or I did. It was the same account." Victoria's face went black. As we left the police station, I passed by her. Seeing her wary, defensive gaze, I smiled lightly. "Why'd you have to provoke me? We're in the 1-month cooling-off period for divorce. I can still change my mind anytime. Go ahead. Post another one of your little victory photos." By the time I walked out of the station, I felt completely relaxed, almost enlightened. All that talk about restraint, composure, and dignity? Lies we tell ourselves. Suppressing emotions only makes them resurface later, in the dead of night. Twisting your heart with humiliation, bitterness, and self-doubt. Over and over again, people should repay grudges when they come. Immediately, decisively, letting the anger out feels infinitely better. In the end, I walked the same path most betrayed women do, yelling, hitting, raging, but I wouldn't torture myself. No, I would torture them. Chapter 8. When the video of me beating up my cheating husband and his mistress at the mall went viral online, I was at the boxing gym, practicing punches. I've worked out for years, mostly to stay fit and energetic. Never imagining I'd actually use it to fight one day. Thinking back to that scene, I realized I hadn't hit them nearly as hard as I should have. It hadn't been satisfying enough. So, I signed up for boxing lessons. During a break, the young boxing coach glanced between me and his phone. "Hey, sis, this is you, right?" Curious. I took the phone. The video had exploded, and somehow, all 3 of our personal details had been exposed. The comment section was chaos. Finally, someone who doesn't just hit the mistress. I'm sick of women saying they'll deal with the mistress first and the husband later. Just admit you can't let go of that piece of trash. See? Women should work out. Look at that clean, toned physique. Every punch had power. The wife is gorgeous. Is the guy blind? But of course, some sided with Lucas and Victoria. Am I the only one who thinks he was right to get divorced? Yeah, the wife's too violent. What man likes that? She pushed him away herself. If it were me, I'd pick the mistress too. She's soft, fragile, even shielded him during the fight. Any man would be moved. I'm a woman, and even I think she should reflect on herself. Isn't it humiliating for a woman to lose control like this? A real queen walks away with grace. Maybe encouraged by the sympathy. Victoria opened a new account and started posting close-ups of her injuries. Pale skin streaked with bruises and tiny cuts. Deliberately tragic and oh so delicate. Her caption read, "Loving you is painful, but I won't give up. I sneered, replying beneath her post with a photo from the boxing gym. It's not that love is painful. You're just unlucky. Then, on my own account, I uploaded every piece of evidence I had of her provocations. For example, the photo where she pouted over a bowl of soup. The herbal soup she made is awful, but Lucas said I'm weak, so he forced me to drink it. Or the message she sent the night I was having appendicitis surgery. Scary, isn't it? He said I'm afraid of thunder, so he had to stay with me. Or her picture flaunting a diamond ring on her hand, next to a 200,000 yuan receipt paid with Lucas's card. Her face beaming with smug delight. Life easy as flipping a hand. Every piece of arrogance, every display of pride, every taunt. I posted it all, including the photo of my necklace wrapped around her ankle like a trinket. The gossip-hungry crowd followed the trail, and I made sure they had plenty to feast on. Chapter 9. By the time I finished boxing, took a long shower, changed clothes, and checked my phone again, the tide of public opinion had completely turned. Victoria's fragile little white flower image was shattered beyond repair. Ugh, she's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Always bringing up the wife's age. What? You think you'll live that long yourself? Calm down. Girl, go rewatch the video of the wife beating the cheater and the mistress. It's therapeutic for your breasts. I've watched it repeatedly. Great for emotional health and circulation. This is real catharsis. Every punch hits the soul. If I were that mistress, I'd crawl under a rock. Why keep provoking the wife? Is she stupid? She can't stand seeing the wife calm. Some people just have to flaunt the prize they stole. Of course, some still tried to sound rational. Am I the only one who thinks the wife's behavior looks desperate? She clearly hasn't moved on, right? She should just walk away gracefully. Find someone richer and hotter. That's how you really get revenge. Exactly. When the ex-husband sees her with another man, that's when he'll regret it. Classic redemption arc. The coach was reading the comments, laughing uncontrollably. He said with my current popularity, I could become the gym's poster girl, a living ad for empowerment. Then he straightened up, flexing his toned arms and showing off his sunny smile. Sis, what do you think? Want me to help you piss off that scumbag? I'm younger, hotter, stand next to you and he'll say one more word, and I'll report you for sexually harassing a client. Got it. Chapter 10. I took a few days off from work and checked into a hotel. No point staying home surrounded by memories that annoyed me. I worked out, swam, snacked in the executive lounge, admired the city lights from my top floor suite, and slept until I woke naturally. If a man doesn't love me anymore, fine, I'll love myself twice as much. Meanwhile, the internet still buzzed with so-called rational voices accusing me of lacking dignity. A 1 million-follower relationship blogger analyzed my video. The highest form of revenge is indifference. True departure is silent. This woman looks like she's won, but she's still punishing herself with her ex's mistakes. By making such a scene, she's lost her grace. The man will only feel relieved, lucky to be free of her. I scoffed, washing his dirty laundry in silence, and they call that high-level enlightenment? Why should I care about the final impression I leave on a deadbeat cheater? What am I supposed to do? Swallow my anger until I get cysts? Walk out penniless just to gift Lucas some hauntingly elegant image, so he can miss me at midnight with mild poetic regret? Please. Still, with so many big accounts reposting my story, it was trending higher by the minute. I quickly updated my bio. If everyone wanted a story, I might as well make it a brand. Chapter 11. Late at night, my college roommate called, her voice cautious, tentative. Selena, about the reunion tomorrow, are you still coming? I immediately understood. That viral video, wife beats cheating husband and mistress at the mall entrance, had spread far and wide. Many people we knew must have seen it. Of course I'm going. Why wouldn't I? It's just, I heard Lucas is bringing her. Won't that be, awkward? I chuckled softly. Embarrassing? He cheated and still has the nerve to flaunt it publicly. I'm clean, innocent, and honest. What do I have to be embarrassed about? My friend sighed in relief. I'm glad you can think like that. I was worried you couldn't face it. After all, Lucas was your first love. She grew nostalgic. Back then, So many guys were chasing you. You rejected everyone so politely, never rude, never flirty. But when Lucas came along, you said yes. And once you did, you loved him with everything you had. From campus to marriage, it's normal if you can't let go easily. A small ache pulsed in my chest. Sunk cost fallacy. I said lightly, see you the day after tomorrow. When I pushed open the door, the once lively room fell silent. People's gazes flicked toward me, curious, cautious, awkward. I looked around. Victoria sat beside Lucas, holding a little dog in her arms, feeding it small butter biscuits. I recognized them immediately. I had baked those. Baking was my hobby. I didn't even like sweets much, but I loved the creation process. Lucas used to take jars of them to his office, saying, "They're healthier than store-bought pastries." Now, Victoria looked up and, with a gleam of provocation in her eyes, fed another biscuit to the dog. What kind of trash is this? Only fit for dogs. I nodded calmly. Perfect. Better a dog than you. Then I added, still smiling, oh, and just a reminder, the man beside you's been eating those for years. It took her a few seconds to process that. Her expression shifted from confusion to fury. The classmates, sensing the tension, scrambled to defuse it, changing subjects, pulling me toward a seat, pretending nothing happened. I didn't want to ruin everyone's mood. So I smiled, made small talk, and sat down. Halfway through the evening, with alcohol loosening tongues and laughter filling the air, Victoria suddenly spoke up. Speaking of old things, I found quite a few yesterday while cleaning the house. She pulled out a bundle from her bag. Photos of Lucas and me. The safety charms we prayed for at a mountain temple. His handwritten letters from business trips. All things I had carefully stored in our marital home. Now she laid them out one by one, mocking each item with loud disdain. This picture is awful. How can someone make Lucas look ugly? And this? Some superstitious nonsense. Only old aunties believe in this stuff. And this ring, what? A plain silver band? How pathetic. Guess she's never seen real jewelry. The table went quiet. Everyone exchanged uneasy glances. Watching me, I stood up and poured a full glass of ice water over Lucas's face. Are you asleep? Can't control your little pet? Then I turned to Victoria. You've got a lot of energy. Collecting trash is one thing. But going out of your way to organize smaller trash like this? Admirable dedication. Lucas wiped his face, voice low and strained with anger. She's been under fire online because of you. Victoria was insulted for 2 days straight and cried all night. She didn't name you. She didn't attack you directly. She was just venting a little. Was that worth this? She deserved it, I said flatly. Then I grabbed the empty glass and hurled it with precision, straight at Lucas's nose. And so do you. His nose, still not fully healed from the last time, burst open again. Blood streamed. Victoria screamed. Classmates rushed to separate us. Selena! Lucas snapped, finally losing control. In front of everyone. You're making a fool of yourself. Do you think they pity you? They're laughing at you. I smiled coldly. Why would I care? You're the one who cheated. She's the one who knowingly became the mistress. Between the three of us, shame doesn't belong to me. My gaze swept across the room, one face at a time. If anyone here thinks I'm the one who should be ashamed, you might want to take a good look at your own moral compass. A few classmates who'd been smirking suddenly dropped their eyes. Lucas inhaled sharply, face dark, and finally pulled open the door. Selena, we need to talk. Chapter 12. In the empty private room next door, Lucas pressed his fingers to his temple, visibly irritated. Selena, I just don't get it. You've always been emotionally detached. Even when your parents passed away, you were fine. So what's the big deal about losing me? Are you this cruel just because my affair embarrassed you? You didn't even love me that much. I stared at him blankly. Oh, and what makes you so sure of that? Lucas began pacing, his voice rising as he counted his grievances one by one. Since we got married, you never gave up a single promotion. You refused to have kids because of work. I could have supported you completely, but you wouldn't quit and relax. Sometimes you were even busier than me. Even on your rare days off, you'd go to the gym, or study something new. Never just stay home waiting for me. Do you know how much I wanted to come home every day and see a light on? That warmth. I only ever felt it with Victoria. Victoria isn't like you. She's warm, passionate. Her whole world revolves around me. Please. I'm begging you. Stop going after her, okay? I couldn't stand his shameless face anymore. I grabbed the nearest thing on the table and hurled it straight at him. Are you blind? Who started this? Stop pretending. You cheated, just admit it. Don't dress it up with moral excuses and dump the blame on me. You really are pathetic. I kept throwing things as I spoke. Lucas dodged awkwardly, almost tripping over himself. Why didn't you give up your promotions? Why didn't you stay home cooking for me? Why didn't you leave a warm light on for me at night? Chapter 13. He was right about one thing. I was never the virtuous wife kind of woman men fantasize about. Because I refused to become my mother. When I was little, my father cheated. My mother would cry and recount, over and over, the story of their love, how good he once was. How it must have been that woman's fault. How she couldn't believe he'd changed. By the time she confronted his fourth mistress, she was screaming like a madwoman. My father stood there, cold, impatient. The mistress looked smug. The onlookers pitied her and sneered. That day, I swore to myself, I would never let my life look that pathetic. I would never trust anyone that completely, never cling to any love like a drowning person to a rope. So I never had inseparable girlfriends. Never fell head over heels for anyone. Never relied on my parents for comfort. But over time, emotional calm became emotional emptiness. My life was so stable, so detached, that it sometimes felt like I could disappear. And nothing would change. Lucas wasn't anything special. He just came along at the right time, when I was wondering what the point of my existence was. He said, Selena, love is a beautiful thing. Don't let fear stop you from feeling it. So I tried. I opened up. I let myself love. But I've always had a strong survival instinct. I could never love without restraint. I could never let my destiny depend on a man. When we became financially stable, I hired a housekeeper so I could focus on my career. I wanted a life that was mine. And what's wrong with that? If I weren't a senior executive, would I have the luxury of paid leave to get divorced? If I couldn't afford the best lawyer, would the asset split have gone so smoothly? If I were a housewife with 2 kids, would I have been able to hit you without worrying who'd feed them dinner? At some point, the door had opened. People were filming. I knew the scene would go viral soon. 2. Our former classmates stared in shock, before finally stepping in to pull us apart. No one knew where Lucas and Victoria went. My college roommate stayed with me. The reunion had turned into a public spectacle. She sighed softly. Selena, you always surprise us. We used to call you the Ice Queen. You seemed like the kind of person who'd never fall in love. Then suddenly, you were with Lucas, and you stayed faithful to him all those years. When I saw that video of you hitting him, it was satisfying, but I couldn't believe it was you. It felt, kind of. She trailed off awkwardly. I smiled and finished for her. Kind of like a shrew? And no, not that. It's fine, I said calmly. I don't think shrew is such a bad word. It took me a few days to realize that. Women have been conditioned for too long to be gentle. In literature, in movies, the women who suffer silently are always portrayed as tragic and beautiful. Saints of endurance, martyrs of love. They cry, they wait. And eventually the world repents and kneels before them. But if a woman dares to fight back, she's immediately branded a shrew. Yet revenge is not ugliness. It's justice. We were never meant to be silent. We were meant to have teeth. Chapter 14. Back then, I didn't understand. I only knew how to isolate myself. It wasn't that I didn't want to love someone. I was just running away. Lucas was right about one thing. Out of fear of being hurt, I didn't dare reach for something beautiful. To avoid pain, I rejected joy. When I first found out about his affair, I regretted ever opening my heart to him. I thought, maybe I was wrong all along. Maybe I really shouldn't have let anyone in. But after these past few days, after every slap, every raw moment of vented anger, I suddenly understood something. That's not how it should be. A coward gets hurt even by cotton, too fragile to hold even happiness. But life only happens once. We're meant to face everything it gives us head on. Laugh when we're happy, cry when we're sad, love when we want to love. If we get hurt, so be it. Cut off what needs cutting. Hit back when we must. Only then can we live freely, without regret, and meet whatever comes next, with the same passion and anticipation we once had for love. Chapter 15. Life after that was surprisingly pleasant. Whenever Victoria couldn't resist acting up, I'd pay Lucas a visit and beat the hell out of him, to make sure he didn't get angry enough to hit back. I always brought my boxing coach along as security. Eventually, it got to the point that whenever I merely raised a hand, both Lucas and Victoria would instinctively shrink their necks, fear flashing in their eyes. Perfect. That's how it should be. In front of me, they didn't deserve to look smug or blissful. It was too much of an eyesore. A cheating man and a home-wrecking mistress should cower. And honestly, that sight pleased me. But Victoria still hadn't learned her lesson. After finding out she was pregnant, she couldn't resist sending me her ultrasound report, her tone dripping with pride. 6 years of marriage and you never got pregnant. Serves you right for being dumped. Thank God my belly works, he's over the moon. I stared at her belly with amusement. I nearly burst out laughing. Wasn't she basically telling me her pregnancy couldn't wait? Soon enough, Victoria regretted that provocation bitterly, because on the day we were supposed to sign the final divorce papers, I didn't show up. While she was frantically calling and texting, I was at the beach, filming a vacation vlog for my followers. Selena, how could you go back on your word? I lounged under the sun, sunglasses on, got too angry, needed a break before I could handle a divorce. Tell Lucas to rebook the appointment. My live stream chat went wild. She's cracked the code of marriage law. Reverse psychology 101, as long as she's not in a hurry. The other woman is. Let's see if the mistress still acts so smug now. After the rescheduling, before the new signing date even arrived, Lucas received a court summons. My lawyer had drafted a new contract. Lucas leaves with nothing. At first he refused and stalled for another month, but as Victoria's belly began to show, she started panicking, desperate to wear her dream wedding dress, while she still fit in it. Eric, you make millions a year, you'll earn it back. If we don't hold the wedding soon, my waist won't fit this dress anymore. So Lucas gritted his teeth and signed. I walked away with everything. By then, the viral videos had made me popular. My live stream of the divorce process had gained hundreds of thousands of followers, and as I looked at my bank balance, I realized this marriage hadn't just cost me pain, it had also made me rich. Chapter 16. On the day we signed the divorce agreement, Victoria looked at me through tear-filled eyes, as if she were the one who had been wronged the most in the world. Biting her lip, she asked, "Are you satisfied now? When this cooling-off period ends, what excuse will you have not to cooperate?" I smiled faintly. Don't worry, this time, I promise I'll be there. On the day we collected the divorce certificates, both Lucas and Victoria were so tense they barely dared to breathe. Only after they held those little green booklets in their hands did they finally exhale in relief. This time, I kept my word, because the trap I had buried for Lucas was about to explode, and if we weren't legally separated first, I was afraid he might back out. Although the whole violent divorce process had gone viral online, Lucas had managed to keep their real identities hidden, forbidding anyone from publishing personal information. I hadn't interfered until now, the day after we finalized the divorce. While Lucas and Victoria were busy picking out their wedding invitations, his identity finally slipped out online. The multinational company he worked for reacted instantly, releasing a strongly worded public statement the same day. The core message was simple. Mr. Lucas has seriously violated the company's core values and code of conduct. His employment is hereby terminated effective immediately. $1 million yuan annual salary, gone. Victoria tried to copy my online success, eager to show off her diamond ring and baby bump on social media, but her account was permanently banned for promoting improper values. At the same time, my lawyer sent me an update. Lucas now faces a massive penalty for breach of contract after being fired, considering his excessive spending and the division of marital assets. Preliminary estimates show he's nearly $1 million in debt. I looked at the notification on my phone, took a slow sip of iced coconut juice, my feet buried in soft white sand, the endless blue sea stretching before me. 2 words replied from me, "Very good." In my live stream chat, fans flooded the screen with joy. Congrats. Queen, free, rich, and glowing. Karma's instant. The scumbags broke. The mistress banned, poetic justice. This ending feels so good I could eat 3 extra bowls of rice. I gazed out at the boundless ocean, the breeze lifting my hair, a bright and effortless smile spreading across my face. It seems my emotional detachment disorder healed itself, quite naturally. After all,